What happens when a beloved British actress decides she's had enough of being disrespected on live television? It only took 39 seconds for Lorraine Kelly to go from daytime darling to the most talked about bully on British TV. This is the story of how one arrogant comment changed everything. The morning began like any other at ITV. Studios in London, the hum of production crews, the sharp scent of coffee, and the familiar rush before airtime. Makeup artists darted between dressing rooms. Producers double-checked clipboards. Camera operators fine-tuned their angles for the perfect shot. Julie Walters, the legendary star of Mamma Mia, and Billy Elliot arrived just after 7, 2 hours early, as always. She'd done this for decades and knew the rhythm by heart. Check in with security, head to hair and makeup, chat with the producer, wait in the green room. Routine. Predictable. But today was different. Julie wasn't there to promote a film or talk about her career. She was there to highlight something close to her heart. A literacy charity for underprivileged children in Manchester. For years, she'd quietly funded programs, read with kids on weekends, and poured her own money into local libraries. She didn't seek attention for it. But this time, she wanted visibility, not for herself, but for the cause. In the makeup chair, she chatted easily with the artist, an old friend. They talked about novels, family, and the state of schools. Not once did Julie bring up what she planned to discuss on air. That conversation, she knew, would come soon enough. By the time she reached the green room, tea in hand, the familiar calm had set in. But beneath it, a quiet unease tugged at her. She couldn't explain why. At 8:45, a young producer appeared at the door. "Dame Walters, we're ready for you on set." Julie smiled, kind, reassuring. The girl looked nervous, barely in her 20s. As they walked the long corridor toward the studio floor, that uneasy feeling returned. Something was off. The Lorraine set looked smaller in person. Cozy, brightly lit, almost claustrophobic. Julie sat on the signature orange sofa. Opposite her, Lorraine Kelly radiated that polished, practiced charm. The smile that had made her Britain's morning sweetheart. To Lorraine's left sat 2 of her regulars. Marcus Chin, the show's fashion critic, tall, sharp suit, sharper tongue, and Bethany Price, the celebrity gossip columnist, all red lipstick and eager energy. Julie had seen them on TV before, but never in person. Their expressions told her everything. They weren't here for charity talk. They were here for entertainment. The floor manager began the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2. The red light blinked on. Lorraine launched straight in, her tone sugary but edged. "Well, hello there, everyone. We have Dame Julie Walters with us this morning, and I'm sure she's here to tell us all about something terribly important." The smile on Julie's face faltered. Just for a second, the audience laughed softly. Lorraine's tone had landed its sting. Julie steadied herself, voice calm and gracious. "Good morning, Lorraine. Yes, I wanted to talk about the children's literacy program we've been running in Manchester for the past 3 years. We started small, 15 children in one community center. Some couldn't read at all. But what we've seen since then has been truly transformative." Her voice warmed as she spoke. Genuine. Proud. But Lorraine's eyes had that glint, the one that meant trouble was coming. "Now they're reading chapter books," Julie continued, her voice soft but bright with pride. "They're writing their own stories, discovering a real love for literature. We're trying to expand the program. Birmingham, Liverpool, Glasgow. Anywhere there are children who need a little support, a little hope." As she spoke, her words carried quiet conviction. This wasn't rehearsed PR talk or pre-approved sound bites. Every syllable came from the heart. Her face glowed as she described the children's progress. Her hands moved with gentle animation, painting pictures in the air. Any decent host would have leaned in, picked up that warmth, asked about the children or the challenges of running a charity. But Lorraine Kelly wasn't leaning in. She was leaning back, arms crossed, one leg sliding slowly over the other. That deliberate, theatrical movement that always meant trouble. The silence stretched, long enough for a few nervous glances between crew members. Then came the smile. Thin, dangerous. "Literacy programs," Lorraine said finally, her tone bright and brittle. "Well, isn't that absolutely quaint?" Julie's smile froze. Lorraine tilted her head. "Tell me, Julie, and I mean this with all sincerity, is this one of those things celebrities do to feel good about themselves? You know the type. The whole giving back performance that's become so fashionable lately. Is this your version of that? Your way of pretending you're one of the little people, while the rest of us are out here working real jobs?" The air changed. The studio fell dead silent. The kind of silence that hums. You could hear the cameras whirring, the faint buzz of studio lights, even the breath of a producer off camera. Bethany Price let out a nervous half-laugh that died instantly. Marcus Chin stared down at his notepad, as though his life depended on it. No one moved. No one spoke. Julie blinked once, slowly. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "What did you just say?" "Oh, come now, Julie," Lorraine replied, tone sugar-coated, eyes gleaming. "Don't be so sensitive. I'm just saying sometimes these celebrity charity things feel a bit performative, like a competition to see who can look the most caring." She waved a hand dismissively, as if brushing away something trivial. Julie leaned forward. Her voice was calm, steady, but every word cut with quiet authority. "Lorraine, I've spent 3 years working directly with these children. I've seen kids who couldn't read a sentence transform into confident, curious young people. This isn't about me feeling good about myself. It's about giving them a chance they never had." Lorraine laughed. Not kindly. It was short, sharp, almost cruel. "Oh, please. You're an actress, Julie. You get paid millions to pretend. Forgive me if I find it a bit rich that you suddenly care about children who can't read. Where were you 20 years ago when this was an actual crisis?" The crew froze again. You could almost hear the producers panicking through their headsets. Bethany shifted, eyes darting between the women. Marcus's jaw flexed, but he said nothing. Julie's hands gripped the sofa arms. Her composure never broke. 20 years ago, Lorraine, I was working. I was raising my children. I was building a career so that I could be in a position to help others. And I've been doing it quietly for decades. I don't parade it for cameras like some people do with their morning talk shows." That landed like a slap. Lorraine's smile vanished. Her expression hardened into something cold and mean. "Excuse me," she said, voice tight. "Are you suggesting that my show, my program that reaches millions every morning, is somehow less valuable than your little reading club?" Julie didn't blink. "I'm not suggesting. I'm stating a fact. Your show talks about fashion, gossip, and whatever scandal happens to be trending. My little reading club is changing children's lives. So yes, Lorraine, I'd say there's a difference in value." A beat of stunned silence followed. Bethany finally spoke up, her voice trembling. "Perhaps we could, talk about Julie's new film? I think she has something coming out soon." Lorraine turned her head slowly toward her. The look she gave could have melted steel. "Bethany, did I ask for your input?" Bethany shrank in her seat. Marcus exhaled and set down his notes. "Lorraine," he said quietly, "I think what Bethany means is that maybe we've—" "Marcus," Lorraine snapped, eyes still locked on Julie. "Do shut up." The air was heavy now, thick with the kind of tension that no amount of cheerful lighting could disguise. "You know what your problem is, Julie?" Lorraine snapped, leaning forward now, the warmth long gone from her voice. "You think you're better than everyone else. You think because you've won a few awards and done a couple of successful films, you can waltz onto my show and lecture me about what's valuable and what isn't." Julie stood up. The movement was so sudden, so decisive that the entire studio seemed to flinch. Even the cameras adjusted, their focus drifting upward to follow her. She looked down at Lorraine. Not with fury, but with quiet, cutting disappointment. "My problem?" Julie said, her tone steady, measured. "Let me tell you what my problem is, Lorraine. I came here in good faith, to talk about children who need help, to use your platform for something meaningful. Instead, I've been mocked, belittled, and treated like I'm part of some petty game. You can insult me all you like, but I won't sit here and be disrespected." Lorraine's face flushed scarlet. "Sit down, Julie. We're in the middle of a live broadcast." Julie shook her head slowly. "No, I don't think I will." She took a step closer, her voice soft but unflinching. "You know what's interesting, Lorraine? You called my charity work performative, but this entire show is performative. You smile, you laugh, you pretend to care. Until someone refuses to play along. Then the real you comes out. And the real you," she paused, her gaze unwavering, "is cruel." The silence that followed was absolute. Bethany Price's hand flew to her mouth, eyes wide in disbelief. Marcus Chin sat frozen, his pen still in his hand, his face pale. The crew stared from behind their cameras, waiting for direction that wasn't coming. Lorraine rose to her feet, voice rising with her. "How dare you come onto my show that I've built from nothing, and insult me to my face? Who do you think you are?" Julie didn't back down. "I'm someone who actually cares about making a difference. Someone who doesn't need to tear others down to feel important. And someone who's done with this conversation." She began unfastening her microphone, her hands steady, deliberate. "You walk off this set," Lorraine hissed, "and you'll never work in British television again. Do you understand me?" Julie paused, the mic halfway off. Then she looked at Lorraine, calm, unshaken. "Lorraine, I've worked in this industry for over 40 years. I've worked with the greatest directors, actors, and producers of my generation. Your threats mean absolutely nothing to me. What does mean something is integrity, and I won't compromise mine by staying here another second." She placed the microphone gently on the sofa, as though setting down something fragile. Then she turned to face the camera. "To anyone watching, if you'd like to know more about the Children's Literacy Program, please visit our website. These kids deserve better than to have their story overshadowed by this nonsense." "Get her off my set," Lorraine screamed, her voice breaking with rage. "Get her off now." But Julie was already walking away, her stride composed, her head held high. As she passed the panel, Marcus whispered, barely audible, "Good for you." Julie gave him the smallest nod before disappearing behind the cameras. Lorraine's fury filled the silence she left behind. "This is my show, mine. How dare she walk off like that? Someone get her back here!" A producer rushed onto the set, whispering frantically in Lorraine's ear. Lorraine waved her off, trembling with indignation. Then, desperate to regain control, she turned to the camera. "Well," she said, voice tight and cracking under strain. "There you have it, folks. Dame Julie Walters showing her true colors. Walking off my show because she can't handle a few honest questions. Some professional she is." Bethany swallowed hard and spoke softly. "I think perhaps there was a misunderstanding. Julie seemed genuinely passionate about—" "And Bethany," Lorraine cut in, eyes blazing. "If you say one more word defending that woman, you can follow her out the door." That was the breaking point. Marcus set down his papers, the sound sharp against the desk. "Actually, Lorraine," he said, standing, "I think I might do just that." Lorraine blinked, incredulous. "What did you just say?" "I've been on this show for 3 years," Marcus said, voice steady but full of conviction. "And I've watched you treat guests with disrespect more times than I can count. But I've never seen anything like what you just did. You attacked Julie Walters for doing charity work. You mocked her for helping children. And when she stood up for herself, you threatened her career. That's not journalism, Lorraine. That's bullying." The studio was chaos now. Camera operators unsure where to point, producers yelling into headsets, the audience stunned into silence. Marcus, you're being ridiculous, Lorraine stammered. Sit down, right now. But her authority was gone. Her voice no longer commanded the room. Marcus unclipped his microphone. I'm not being ridiculous. I'm being honest. For the first time in a long time. He glanced toward Bethany. You coming? Bethany hesitated, caught between fear and conscience. Then she saw Lorraine's face, the raw anger, the arrogance, and made her choice. Yes, she said quietly. Yes, I'm coming, Lorraine's voice cracked. Both of you are fired. Do you hear me? Fired. But they were already walking away, following the path Julie Walters had taken just minutes earlier. And for the first time in her career, Lorraine Kelly was left standing alone, live on air, watching her own empire crumble in front of millions. Fired! Lorraine screamed as Marcus and Bethany walked off the set together. Her voice echoed across the silent studio, sharp and disbelieving. The producer rushed toward her, pleading for her to cut to commercial. But Lorraine wasn't hearing anyone anymore. Her anger had taken full control. She turned back toward the camera, her hair slightly disheveled, her mascara streaking faintly under the studio lights. This, she said, pointing toward the empty chairs, is what happens when you try to have real conversations on television. Everyone's too sensitive these days. You can't say anything without someone getting offended. She jabbed a finger toward the camera lens, as if speaking directly to the audience. Julie Walters, supposed to be a professional, and she walks off my show like a spoiled child. And my own panelists? People I gave opportunities to. They stabbed me in the back on live television. A voice from off-camera, desperate and insistent, cut through the chaos. Lorraine, we need to go to commercial. Now. But Lorraine spun around. No, we're not going to commercial. This is my show, and I decide when we cut away. I'm sick of everyone telling me what to do. This is my show. That was the final image before the control room cut the feed. Millions of viewers saw it. The unraveling of one of Britain's most famous morning hosts. The studio fell into disarray. Crew members exchanged stunned looks. The producers huddled in urgent whispers. And Lorraine Kelly sat alone on the orange sofa that had once symbolized her warmth and control. Now it just looked like wreckage. Backstage, Julie Walters was already packing her things, calm but resolute. Marcus and Bethany found her there, both still shaken. Dame Walters, Marcus began softly. We just wanted to say... Julie lifted a hand gently. Please call me Julie, and you don't need to say anything. You both did what was right. That takes courage. Bethany's voice trembled. I'm so sorry for what happened out there. The way she spoke to you, it was awful. I should have said something sooner. Julie smiled, warm and steady. You said something when it mattered. That's what counts. She lifted her bag and turned toward the exit. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting with a group of 7-year-olds who actually want to hear about literacy programs. As she stepped out into the crisp air outside the ITV studios, her phone buzzed nonstop. Actors, directors, even rival talk show hosts reaching out to applaud her grace and composure. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. By the end of the day, it would be the most watched moment on British television. Back inside, Lorraine sat motionless on her sofa. The same sofa where she had interviewed hundreds of guests, built a career, cultivated an image. But now it felt like evidence. Evidence of the moment she'd let pride and anger destroy everything she'd built. One of the senior producers, Sarah, who had been with the show since the very beginning, approached carefully. Lorraine, she said quietly, we need to talk about what just happened. Lorraine looked up, her eyes glassy but hard. For a flicker of a moment, Sarah thought she saw remorse, but it vanished as quickly as it came. What just happened, Lorraine said bitterly, is that I was ambushed, undermined by my guest and my own staff. I was treated with disrespect on my own show. Sarah sighed, exhaustion etched into her face. Lorraine, you attacked a beloved actress for trying to help children. You mocked her charity work. And when she defended herself, you threatened her career. That's not journalism. That's cruelty. And now the whole country's seen it. Lorraine rose abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. This is my show. If people don't like how I run it, they can watch something else. Sarah's reply was quiet but devastating. That's exactly what they're going to do. In those 39 seconds that started everything, Lorraine Kelly had made a choice. She had chosen ego over empathy, control over kindness, and the world had seen it. Meanwhile, across town, Julie Walters sat on the floor of a community center in Manchester, surrounded by a circle of children reading aloud from their favorite books. She listened, smiling, fully present in the moment. This connection was what mattered. She hadn't come to the studio to make headlines. She'd come to make a difference. And when mocked, disrespected, and pushed, she'd done the one thing that required the most strength. She stood her ground without losing her grace. That's what made her the good guy. Not the walkout, not the viral moment, but her refusal to let cruelty dictate her values. Lorraine Kelly had her lights, her audience, her fame. But in those 39 seconds, she showed the world exactly who she was beneath the smile. And Julie Walters, calm and unshaken, showed who she was too. History wouldn't remember it as the day Julie Walters walked off a talk show. It would remember it as the day she stood up for what mattered. And sometimes, standing up means walking away.